Anyway, I said, you were right, I've been scribbling about how Wharton came on the block and almost killed Dean Stanton, one of the guys I worked with back then, when he did. How could he do that? Elaine asked. Meanness and carelessness, I said grimly. Wharton supplied the meanness, and the guards who brought him in supplied the carelessness. The real mistake was Wharton's wrist chain, it was a little too long. When Dean unlocked the door to E Block, Wharton was behind him. There were guards on either side of him, but Anderson was right, Wild Billy just didn't care about such things. He dropped that wrist chain down over Dean's head and started choking him with it. Elaine shuddered. Anyway, I got thinking about all that and couldn't sleep, so I came down here. I turned on AMC, thinking you might come down and we'd have us a little date. She laughed and kissed my forehead just above the eyebrow. It used to make me prickle all over when Janice did that, and it still made me prickle all over when Elaine did it early this morning. I guess some things don't ever change. And what came on was this old black and white gangster movie from the 40s. Kiss of Death, it's called. I could feel myself wanting to start shaking again and tried to suppress it. Richard Widmark's in it, I said. It was his first big part, I think. I never went to see it with Jan, we gave the cops and robbers a miss, usually, but I remember reading somewhere that Widmark gave one hell of a performance as the punk. He sure did. He's pale, doesn't seem to walk so much as go gliding around. He's always calling people squirt, talking about squealers, how much he hates the squealers. I was starting to shiver again in spite of my best efforts. I just couldn't help it. Blonde hair, I whispered. Lank blonde hair. I watched until the part where he pushed this old woman in a wheelchair down a flight of stairs, then I turned it off. He reminded you of Wharton? He was Wharton, I said. To the life. Paul, she began, and stopped. She looked at the blank screen of the TV, the cable box on top of it was still on, the red numerals still showing 10, the number of the AMC channel, then back at me. What? I asked. What, Elaine? Thinking, she's going to tell me I ought to quit writing about it. That I ought to tear up the pages I've written so far and just quit on it. What she said was, "Don't let this stop you." I gawped at her. "Close your mouth, Paul, you'll catch a fly." "Sorry. It's just that, well. You thought I was going to tell you just the opposite, didn't you?" "Yes." She took my hands in hers, gently, so gently, her long and beautiful fingers, her bunched and ugly knuckles, and leaned forward, fixing my blue eyes with her hazel ones, the left slightly dimmed by the mist of a coalescing cataract. "I may be too old and brittle to live," she said, "but I'm not too old to think." What's a few sleepless nights at our age? What's seeing a ghost on the TV, for that matter? Are you going to tell me it's the only one you've ever seen? I thought about Warden Moores, and Harry Terwilliger, and Brutus Howell. I thought about my mother, and about Jan, my wife, who died in Alabama. I knew about ghosts, all right. "No," I said. "It wasn't the first ghost I've ever seen. But Elaine, it was a shock. Because it was him." She kissed me again, then stood up, wincing as she did so and pressing the heels of her hands to the tops of her hips, as if she were afraid they might actually explode out through her skin if she wasn't very careful. "I think I've changed my mind about the television," she said. "I've got an extra pill that I've been keeping for a rainy day or night. I think I'll take it and go back to bed." "Maybe you should do the same." "Yes," I said. "I suppose I should." For one wild moment I thought of suggesting that we go back to bed together, and then I saw the dull pain in her eyes and thought better of it.